Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. This is my very first Stitch With Me of 2022. I cannot believe that we are already in 2022. I hope everyone has had a really good Christmas and I hope you had a wonderful New Year as well. So it is the 1st of January today and I have had a really good Christmas. I have not done a huge amount of stitching on the Christmas week, but I think that's probably to be expected. And I today started my Whip Go challenge, which a few of us all started together in my Discord group. And we have sort of rolled our own numbers. The original of this, by the way, the original game called Whip Go you can find it on Facebook. And it was invented by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. That is the name of her channel, which I can link below. And she created this game called Whip Go. And basically, you write in all your goals for the year, and two numbers are drawn. And whichever two numbers are drawn, say for instance W1 or G3, then you go to that particular square and you do two of these squares over a period of a month. So it really sounds quite simple. I don't really like to complicate it too much. So I've put in all my current whips and this is what I have. So we had drawn ourselves in my little group I4 and P1. So this is the one I have to do this month. Sad Fairy, which you can see here on my screen, and Riverwalk Charm. So 10 days of Riverwalk, 3,000 stitches of Sad Fairy, and this is what I have to achieve for the whole of January. So today I had done quite a bit of work on Riverwalk Charm, so I felt like I needed a little bit of a break. So I thought I would sit down, have myself a nice cup of tea, my first cup of tea for the for the evening of the 1st of January, and I would do a little bit of stitching. So I just wanted to share my first day of the year with you guys because I just love coming on and having a chat with you when I do my stitching. So I'm just going to take a little sip of my tea and prepare myself. So I've actually got, how many is it? 3,000 stitches to do on this. So I'm thinking of maybe breaking it up with the with my other whip and maybe doing one day of Riverwalk and one day on this one. And I can let you know how far I've got on this one in a second. Let me just see where my starting point is this year, because this one I think I began in 2020. Or if it wasn't in 2020, it was very early in 2021. So on this chart, I have reached 35.5%. I think it is a regular chart. And I have done 67,127 stitches, which I don't think is that bad over the course of a year, considering I've got other ones which I was doing at the same time. So I would like to achieve, I think I would like to get to the 50% this year. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm certainly going to give it a try. And I really, really love these colours. They're silvery blues, beautiful, beautiful colours here. I love the moodiness of this piece. It really appeals to me, these gorgeous teals and blues and greys. It really is a beautiful, beautiful piece. And let me see which area I started working on. So I've been working, I kind of went all the way down to the end here, finished her forehead, top of her head. Then I worked down in columns and I finished her face. Then I worked this way and then I decided to do a little bit more of her sleeve along this way. And now I'm working down in columns and I'm sort of coming over to the left so I can finish this whole section. And then I think I may either continue to work downwards, possibly, or I might work on the right side of the chart, just so that I can sort of marry up the two sections at the top. So I can have the whole top finished. Then I can begin on the second part. So this is where we are at. And I'm really excited. I'm going to do a little bit of stitching now and chat to you at the same point and maybe catch up with a little of stuff that's been going on. Actually, not very much has been going on, to be honest. It has been a very, very quiet Christmas. Obviously, with all the conflicting information about COVID and everything, there has been no family visits, nothing like that. So it would be quiet in that respect. And it's just my husband and my son, and we've just been, you know, actually hasn't really been that different from any other normal day, to be honest, except that we cooked some special meals and we spent a bit more time playing games, a bit more time together than usual, because obviously he's not at school at the moment. And just sort of trying to make it a bit more of a special occasion. I don't think it really has felt particularly Christmassy, which is a bit of a disappointment actually, because I would have thought, I kind of like my Christmases to feel really Christmassy, but I think since the COVID thing came around in 2020, it just hasn't really it's not got the same feel to it. It hasn't really gone back to the normality of what Christmas should feel like, people coming together. But for the last couple of years, it feels more like people separating or people coming apart. So, yeah, it's kind of been a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. But at the end of the day, I've been thinking to myself, well, it could always be worse. People have lost loved ones and they have loved ones in hospital, and people are sort of, struggling to keep roofs over their heads. So things can always be worse than you think. And so I do try to, whenever I feel a bit like down about something, I try to remember that there are people that are going through much worse than me. And there always will be, no matter what I'm going through. Which, it doesn't mean that I can't feel a little bit sad every so often about things, but I don't like to dwell. I don't think it's healthy to dwell. And it's always a good idea to try and count your blessings. So I am really grateful that I've had a nice, quiet, pleasant Christmas. The only thing that I had to contend with for about 10 days was a bad cold. And even though it was bad cold and it was kind of a bit of a pain to have it just before Christmas, it had gone by the time Christmas week arrived. So I was also really pleased about that, because who wants to wake up on Christmas Day and be sneezing the whole time and going back to bed and drinking Lemsip, and nobody wants that. So I was really very thankful that I didn't get sick to the point where it covered my Christmas week. And then we just had our usual, Christmas turkey lunch, which we narrowly averted a big disaster because we had defrosted a turkey according to the instructions. And I said to my husband, even though the instructions say to take out the turkey at a certain time, I don't think it's going to be defrosted. And he said, oh, no, it will be defrosted. Blah, blah, blah. And I knew that, I didn't know exactly, but I had a feeling that it wasn't going to be defrosted for Christmas Day. So lo and behold, on Christmas Eve, he nipped down to a shop and he came back and said, hey, I bought a spare turkey just in case the one we have doesn't defrost. And I said, yeah, okay, so now we have 2 turkeys. So basically, long story cut short, when we woke up on Christmas Day, as we'd predicted, the original turkey that we defrosted had not defrosted. And the last thing I will ever do is stick a frozen or partially frozen turkey into the oven, because that could be dangerous. So we ended up having the chilled turkey, and we just left the other one in the fridge to fully defrost. So I cooked the emergency turkey on Christmas Day, and then a day later or so we cooked the other turkey. So then we had so much turkey, so we were able to have like turkey meals, which we made. Like, I've never had so much turkey in my life. We had turkey sandwiches, turkey pasta, turkey pie. We made a turkey pie. We just had turkey. It gave us so many meals. And I think, if we hadn't been as hungry as we were over Christmas, we would still be eating the rest of the turkey. So it really, really did go a long way. But it's quite funny because we always tend to have some kind of calamity when Christmas comes around, and we can never agree on anything, you know. So we found that quite amusing. So there was turkey for weeks, and now we are out of the turkey stage and very happy to be eating no meat at the moment, just vegetables and salads, and none of that kind of heavy food. So I do feel quite like yesterday I said to him, I wasn't feeling great and I wanted to go for a walk today to clear my head. I was getting a bit of a sinus flare up, and New Year's Eve I always get a bit emotional, and sometimes I feel like I just want to cry, and I don't really know why, but I feel like if I do, it'll just help me to feel a bit better. And it's probably from stuff that I don't actually want to think about, because it just makes me cry even more. But the fact that I'm not crying about it can make things worse, because you can then end up feeling upset, and you're kind of just denying your emotions, and it's all just going to come out anyway at some point. So, but I didn't have a cry, but I did feel pretty rubbishy yesterday. And today, New Year's Day, we went for a walk, and I felt really like, I want to be a bit healthier as well. So I just want to stop eating like heavy foods and stuff, and cut down a little bit. And so I can feel a bit lighter on my feet again, and a bit more energetic like I did. I know that every winter it gets more difficult for me to keep up my walking and stuff, because it's so dark and cold, and you don't want to go outside because it's so cold. But during the summer, I do really good with my going out for long walks and stuff like that. But I just find it a lot less like something I really want to do in the winter. So then I tend to feel less healthy, or a bit more like I need to get out. So today I said, well, I don't care how cold it is or not cold. Today I'm going for a walk. So we went for a nice little walk. Got a couple of bits from the shop, came back, and then I thought I'd settle down and get into my whip go stitching. So there's the whole story about the Christmas, my turkeys, and my health. So if you didn't want to hear all that, I forgive you for fast forwarding this video. So talking about the stitching, back to the stitching, which I always love to listen to when I'm watching flosstube. So my two goals this month are Sad Fairy and Riverwalk Charm, and the other goals that I have are all the other heids that I have, and I have about 6 of them now, I think, and so I've put all 6 of them into my goals, and these I will do throughout January. Sorry, for the rest of the year. But I do have a free space in the centre, and I have not decided, I'll just quickly show you again, have not decided what I want to do in that free space. So free space, I could use it as an actual free space, and I can just do whatever I like. Or I was thinking maybe I could do that as the new start, because I am intending to start a Mirabilia. It's called the Snow Queen. Some of you may be familiar with it. I'll also put a link to it in the description. And it's a beautiful chart, but it does have like fancy beads and not really specialty stitches, but it has got like fancy threads and stuff. So I have been accumulating bits and pieces for this chart for a while. And then I got into a bit of a mess with the fabric, because I had actually tried to start this Mirabilia chart in December, and I had ordered the fabric, and I think the fabric I ordered was a 28 count even weave, and I was intending to do 2/2, and it was a sort of dark hand dyed colour, a sort of dark blue hand dyed colour. So, it was all sort of uneven, it looked kind of like clouds or something like that. And I just could not stitch on it. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I'd attempted for a couple of days, and I'd gone wrong like 2 or 3 times. I tried to change my lighting a bit to improve the lighting, and I just realised that I just could not, for whatever reason, get on with that fabric. So I just thought, you know what, life's too short. I'm going to go and get an alternative fabric that I know I can stitch on that is recommended for the beads that are in that chart. So the chart recommends either a 32 count fabric or linen, or the other alternative is that I could use a sorry, where have I gone in my head? I could use 32 count linen, or I could use a 16 count Ida. And I thought, well, you know, considering the 28 count caused me so many problems, I don't think I'm going to work with 32 count linen. So I'm going to play it safe a bit, and I'm going to get a really nice darkish blue. It's called Misty Blue Ida, and I'm going to use that because, you know, I'm not the kind of person that will, let me see, substitute my comfort for vanity. In other words, I'm not going to struggle through an entire piece on a beautiful fabric just because it looks good. I will much rather use something that's going to give me a bit more enjoyment, even if it's not quite as pretty as other fabrics could be. And, you know, I'm sure there's other people that just do not agree with that. They will go and get a fabric that they might struggle with a little bit and that's fine for them. But I just cannot do it. And I've always said that if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not doing it, no matter how, you know, how much I have to compromise. And so that's what I did. I went and I ordered the 16 count, but obviously by the time I'd got to this point of ordering a 16 count fabric, we were talking about it was Boxing Day by then. And I thought, I'm not going to get anything before New Year. So I still haven't received it. So I'm still waiting for this new fabric, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come soon. And then I have the choice of either starting it when it comes or waiting for my free space on my whip go board, or choosing another time to start it, like maybe as a reward for completing a whole line on my whip go board, or maybe as a reward for finishing maybe 6 months and then doing the new start. I don't know, but I haven't decided that yet. We'll see when I get my fabric. Knowing me, I will probably be onto it as soon as I get the fabric. But we'll see. We'll see. My goodness me, my husband has made me a cup of tea and it looks like a swimming pool, this cup. It's so big. Anyway, so that's the new start, the Snow Queen, and it'll be the first Mirabilia that I do as well. So I'm looking forward to doing a few Stitch with Me's. And I think it's actually going to be easier for me to do a few Stitch with Me's with my 16 count than if I'm struggling to see what I'm doing on a 32 count. And I really am very envious now of people who use 32 count and 40 count and so on, because they must have brilliant magnifiers or brilliant eyesight, to be honest. So let's see, parking down here again. So if I didn't mention before, I apologize, but this chart, I do often put this into the description. This is a 25 count, and it's not the easy grid because there is no easy grid, but it did have a grid of 10 by 20 by 20, I think it was. It's a DMC fabric, so it had a grid of 20 by 20, and I washed it off because I couldn't work with that grid. I needed to have a grid of 10 by 10. So I washed it off, and then I thought, well, I wasn't sure whether I was actually still like the fabric, because sometimes the fabrics can be really different once you've washed off the grid. But it was fine, absolutely fine. And I haven't had a problem with it since. Although when I have a lot of parking, I seem to be getting a lot of problem lately with some of this parking. I'm going to park this one down here. So that's where I'm at with my whips, and I am looking forward to getting a good bit of progress this year. I'm also looking forward to the new start, and I'm also looking at charts that I might potentially want to start near the end of this year. I can't believe I'm saying this year as in this year being the new year. It still feels a bit alien to me that we are in 2022. I feel like 1999 was just around the corner and not that far away. So I'm going row by row here because it's quite heavy in confetti, and I want to do every single stitch without having little gaps. And I'm a bit methodical like that, and I like to just do the stitch and move on. And that's, and then forget about it. I don't like to have to go back and keep doing sections and areas. But when I've got maybe 2 or 3 colours just in this row, I will do one colour at a time. And I've been calling that, this is my new term that I've coined, by the way. So if you want to try it, I'm calling it, I forget now. What did I call it? I called it something yesterday or the day before yesterday. Oh yeah, cross-country ladders. That's what I called it. Because you get the cross-country, and if you're doing it in a line like that, it's cross-country ladders or cross-country diagonal ladders, whatever you want to, whichever way you're doing it. That's what I called it. And where am I? 2, 3, is that going there? So cross-country ladders works if you're doing a couple of colours along a row or a column. But if you've got loads of colours in there, even the cross-country like this can be a bit of a nuisance because you've so many colours to stop and start. So doing them like this and snaking my way down is actually useful. Two, three, four. Okay. I think we have a new colour again. So I'm really enjoying doing what it says on the whip go board, because often I find it difficult to actually know what to do. I kind of stare at all my whips and think, oh, I don't know which one to do. I want to do this one. I want to do that one. I want to do all of them right now. And it just gives me a headache. So now that I've actually got a goal, something to work towards, it seems to have taken all the stress of thinking about it away, which is one of the plus points of doing the whip go thing. But then on the other side of the coin, I do not want to be stressing about whether I actually achieve every goal or not. But I think for as long as I'm trying my best, that will just have to suffice, because that's all we can do, right? All we can do really is just try our best, because not every day is going to be the same. Not even every week is going to be the same. But somebody said to me, do you have any New Year resolutions? And I said, you know what? No, I don't have any New Year resolutions, because the last 2 years have been so crazy. I just can't think of anything that I could come up with that wouldn't be any crazier than the year we've had. So my instead of New Year's resolutions, I'm just going day by day. I'm working my life on a daily basis. That's what I'm doing, because there is always something that I can improve on a daily basis, whether it's my thoughts or my actions, even my stitching time. There's always things I do, things I want to do. There's always something that I feel I could improve on. So I'm thinking day by day, makes a lot more sense to me than stuff like, oh, I'm going to go on a diet, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, because I just don't stick to these things. They just don't last. And I think the older you get, the more you know yourself. So you know when you're fooling yourself or not, and what's going to work for you and what isn't. Now I've got lost with my parking. That should go 1, 2, 3. Why do I always have to have so many colours on the same row? I don't know, but something's gone a bit skewy in this square. So my sleeping pattern has also been completely out of the window, because I've been going to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up like late morning, and it's all just completely gone berserk. So I don't know what's happening with my my body clock is completely gone out of the window. So I'm hoping I can get it back into gear, back into some kind of normality soon. Or I'll just keep hoping that. Where is this colour I need? I'm going to have to sort out. I don't know why, but every time I do a stitch with me, my parking goes berserk. And I really look incompetent when actually I'm a pretty competent parker. But when I'm doing stitch with me's, my competence seems to just fly out the window for some reason. I have no answer for that. It's just the way it goes with me. So I kind of accepted that now. So I would beg that you kind of accept that too. My parking incompetence is not intentional. It's a bit of an occupational hazard, I think. Come on, don't be wobbly, don't be wobbly. So all that just for one stitch again. All this getting skeins out for one stitch. Story of my life. Let's see, now we've got another couple of ninja stitches here as well. Right, so I'm trying to think if there's anything that I might have mentioned in my last few videos that I was supposed to inform you about or catch up on, and maybe I've forgotten. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I was talking in my last video about Whipco, and that I was planning to do that. And I think I even mentioned in my last video that I was intending to start the Mirabilia, but I wasn't sure. I just didn't know. I didn't have a date in my head sort of when to slip her in to my routine. I've kind of got into such a sort of routine now with the whips that I have, that I find it difficult to kind of find a place to slip another one in. The last thing I want to do is start the Mirabilia chart and then find that I'm getting so into it that I don't want to do any of the others. I don't think I'd like that, because I'd feel like I was abandoning my other whips. And, you know, even if I don't work on one for, say, like a week, to me it kind of feels like I'm abandoning it, which is crazy, because I know that it's okay to put something down for a week or a month, and that wouldn't be considered necessarily abandonment. It's just that maybe, you know, some of us get to work on other things for a little while, and I know people do, and I think it's absolutely fine. But when it comes to me and I start to do something, or I abandon a whip, hang on a second, I've got a colour in here that shouldn't be there. I'm going to have to cut that one off. Sometimes I think, oh, it's fine if other people are doing a certain thing, but I can't seem to do it myself, or I feel like I can't do the same thing as them, even though it's okay. You know, it's kind of weird. So finding the right moment to bring in another whip is awkward for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have just... That's okay. I've got this counting issue again, probably. So I'm going from left to right. Now I'm going to park here, just below. But you know what happens? What generally happens with these things is you end up getting your fabric, or you get all your pieces together, and then you just start. I don't know, you just stand up, you go grab your stuff, you put it together, and you start. It's that simple, without faffing around. Because sometimes we overthink things so much in our brains that we forget how easy it is to just go ahead and do them. And we just complicate them with more and more thoughts and plans and this and that. If we really just thought about things in a more simple way, things would be so much easier, wouldn't they? Okay. So I've got the right colour now, at least. I'm using the right colour. So this is the B5 200, which is actually different from white. I know that now, as a more experienced stitcher, that B5 200 and blank are two different colours. I didn't used to know that. White to me was everything that looked white was white. But there's about 3 or 4 variations of white in the stitching world. So it can really confuse us. And I think B5 200, if I'm not mistaken, is a brighter white. It's a brighter white than 01 or blank. So if you compare them side by side, I think you can easily tell which one is brighter or not. But I've never actually compared them together, to be honest. And another little thing I have changed in my stitching life is I have started using Anchor 310. Anchor black I've started using instead of DMC black because I was told it gives a slightly better coverage to the oh, something went wrong. It gives a slightly better coverage than 310. So using the Anchor black, and I think it's actually true, to be honest. It actually does look like it's giving slightly better coverage. I mean, it's not going to make any groundbreaking difference, but I think they're actually right in saying that. So I ordered, I think it was 6 skeins of Anchor, and it also came with some Anchor white. Did I say Anchor white before? I was meaning to say black. Anchor black is much better than DMC black. If I said Anchor white, I'm losing my mind. That's what you get for lack of sleep. That's what happens when you go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. So the DMC black is a little bit on the thin side, as people have said. So I went with their recommendations of getting the Anchor black, and that seems to work a bit better. Now, I'm wondering now, I'm thinking that since I've got to do 3,000 stitches of this pattern in a month, I'm trying to break it down mathematically in my head. And trust me, I'm not good at maths, so I'll probably get this all wrong. But if I was to do a minimum of 100 stitches a day, that would be 700 a week. In 10 days, I'd have 1,000, right? So if to do 3,000, that would be 30 days. So I'm just checking that it is 3,000. So 30 days it would take me to do if I did 100 a day. So it's just as well I've started now, isn't it? Because I have to do a minimum of 100 a day. Oh my goodness, didn't realise it was that much. I better get moving. I actually thought it was going to be a lot easier than that. So probably I would do more on certain days, but I always have to do 10 days of the other one. So I'm trying to figure out, and I'm probably going to have to go back and write this all down and figure out properly. But when we say 10 days, like I know some people have put 5 days or 10 days or whatever of a certain whip. I haven't actually watched the Whip Go videos to see what people are doing for that, whether they're doing a full day or they're just doing whatever they can. For instance, whenever they come home from work, and they may be stitched for a couple of hours in the evening. That is what a day is in terms of recording it in your whipgo board. Or does it mean 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day? I suppose it means whatever it means to you personally, because we all have got different routines and different stuff like that. I don't like stitching in the morning, because in the morning I like to do other stuff, like go out or go out for coffees, go into town, or do some housework, or whatever it is I need to do that isn't hobby related, I do in the morning, and don't really start stitching, possibly a little bit after lunch if I haven't got anything else to do. But mainly my stitching time is in the evening. So if I allow days to be anywhere after 6 p.m, 7 p.m. in the evening is when I usually sit down to stitch, that could be considered a day. So if it's 5 days of stitching, it's 5 evenings rather than 5 days. And I think that's acceptable. So the 3,000 is going to be a bit more tricky now, because I'm going to have to make sure that I don't leave it all to the end, to the last couple of weeks or the last week, and then I won't be able to achieve the goal. Because even though it's not set in stone that I have to achieve the goal, and I think some people even let their goals overlap into the next month, if something crops up, and it's just been unavoidable, I think I'm going to try and do 200 on her, and maybe a day of river walk charm, and then the next day I'm going to do 200 of her. So it's kind of going to be like doing 100 a day. And then if I can get to do a bit more of her on the weekend, maybe that's one way to go. Maybe that's one way to do it. So I also can't believe that I wrote down as a goal, I wrote down 4,000 stitches in one of my goals. So if I get that one, I'm going to have to do more than 100 stitches a day. And if I get the goal that says 4,000 stitches in a month, and another goal I get with 3,000 stitches, because I think I only have one goal that has 4,000 stitches. So if I get that, if that number is pulled along with 3,000, that'll be 7,000 stitches in the month I have to do. That sounds like a lot to me already, but I cannot change my board now. I couldn't do it. I've already set it in stone. I can't change it. I think if I modified it now, I would feel defeated. So I think I'm going to have to just give it a go, and hope that if that 4,000 stitch goal is rolled, that the other one isn't going to be too harsh. Otherwise, I'm going to have to put my alarm clock for 3 o'clock in the morning and start stitching. And that's going to be fun, because I'll probably spend a lot more time with the frog than actually stitching by the end of the month. Oh, come on, let's be positive. I'm going to do great. I'm going to do great. I'm going to get all my goals done, and I'm going to be so, so pleased with myself. It's going to be such an accomplishment, because I really do want to get a good push on these whips. I think that's the main thing. But I'm not going to beat myself up about not getting the goals completed. I'm not going to do that, because I beat myself up a lot sometimes about stuff that I don't get done, or stuff that I'm not doing, or that I think I should be doing. So I don't want to do that in my hobby life. I don't want to beat myself up in my hobbies. Hobbies are meant to be stress-free, relaxing pursuits. They're not meant to be about reprimands or control. And it is good to have goals. It really is good to have goals, but it's also good to understand that life isn't that simple sometimes, and things don't have to be harsh. If something happens and the goal isn't met, well, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So that's what I shall keep thinking to myself as I go forward. to remind myself that this is an enjoyable craft and I'm doing it all for fun. Even all the new starts that I'm predicting are for fun. Now let's see. Pull another colour. I'm afraid this square has gone pretty confetti all of a sudden, and I was hoping it wouldn't be quite as bad. But I have really enjoyed coming back and stitching with you, because I've missed quite a few lives and I was really enjoying chatting to my stitching friends on my lives and hearing about the things that they're doing as well. And I kind of missed that. So I'm hoping that next Saturday, and I will schedule this in advance, hoping that next Saturday, which will be, what day is that? Today's the 1st. 6th. Is it the 6th? Next Saturday. I'm hoping that I will be able to do a live stream next Saturday. So I will put out a schedule for that, and I will try to get a little more done, probably on Sad Fairy now, because I've now frightened myself with my own goal, which I didn't realise exactly what it meant, but I have actually frightened myself, and I think that I'm going to have to, work on this lady a little bit more than I thought I had to, because I'd written 3,000 stitches in a month. It's not as small as I thought it was, not a small amount. It's quite a bit of work, so it'll be nice to come on and chat and have the support, have the what am I doing? Pattern keeper. It'll be nice to have that time stitching with you whilst I'm working on her, or on any of the whips that I'm working on, to be honest. So this is turning into a confetti mountain at the moment, and every other stitch seems to be a new colour, which is not surprising really. But I'm really enjoying it, and I like I do like going, not so much, doesn't really matter if I go from right to left or left to right, but I do like working in columns, and I think that's becoming the in thing at the moment. It could change, because I do every so often like to change things up a little bit, like on my semi-new whip, Dress of Daydreams. I am working, I was intending to work actually in a spiral in the centre, but with all my parking, it didn't work out too well for me. So I quickly realised that wasn't going to be that easy. So then I decided I was going to snake my way up and then work near the top, which is what I'm more used to. So that's kind of the goal for the moment. But I do need to come back and stitch that one with you again, because it's starting to look really gorgeous now. It's very confetti, but it's starting to look really good. And I can't seem to thread my needle today. So yeah, I want to get a good amount of progress this year. I'm sure all of us do. I mean, it's always a nice thing, isn't it, to get some progress, to feel like you've accomplished stuff. It's always a nice feeling. The actual stitching is nice and relaxing, but feeling of accomplishment, no one can beat it really. It's great. So I'm not going to make this a hugely long one, because, well, I think it's better to have them a little bit less lengthy, a little bit less long, and it takes less editing time and stuff to actually get them uploaded. So I'm just going to finish this little line here. and hopefully you've enjoyed stitching with me this evening, and I'm looking forward to coming back and stitching with you again, or hopefully see you on my live if you happen to be free and you can stop by. Just pop in and say hello and let me know how you got on through Christmas and what sort of projects you're working on now in the new year, and do you have any new starts? I'd love to know all this, so let me know. And it was great stitching with you, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.